Well, hello there, Bethel Park. It is me, Amy Taylor, and I am here, very, very special edition of Healthy, Fit, and Strong, and I'm so excited with our guest here today. We have with us Miss Heather Wegley, and she is going to be talking to us about her condition of complex regional pain syndrome, or CRPS. Now, Heather is a senior at Baldwin High School. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Talk to us a little bit about your condition and what it is.
I have CRPS, and it's a very painful condition. It's hard to comprehend for even doctors. It's so painful that it's been nicknamed the suicidal disease, and I want to change that to the survivor's disease, but I have to start somewhere, and it starts today. These people went through a lot. They walked through hell and back. Their joints were on fire. Their joints were freezing cold. They literally had to learn how to walk again, including myself. I was in a wheelchair just last year, and I'm back at the gym.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know we were going to get so serious so fast.
Amy.
Complex regional pain syndrome is a chronic condition where you're constantly in inflamed pain from various parts of your body, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It's normally an arm or a leg?
Yes.
Okay. But with you, what part of your body is it?
So it's from my stomach down.
Okay. And is that normal or is that unusual to have a stomach condition like that?
It's abnormal. Usually it goes for the arms and legs, and then it starts attacking the stomach and the head.
And this normally happens after an injury or a stroke or a heart attack, correct?
Or surgery.
So how did this start with you?
I was in 3rd grade. It was a soccer injury.
Oh, I did not know.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened?
So I kicked a ball from an opponent from the opposite team, and right away I was like, this doesn't feel right, like this hurts. And my mom, as the nurse she is, she's like, you're fine, go back out. So I go back out, and I'm playing, and I'm like, Mom, this still hurts, and it's getting worse. And she's like, well, we'll go to Medic Express. And I was like, okay. And we go there. They're like, here's a boot. We don't see anything that's broken or sprained. Go to UPMC. From there, they put me in a cast. Still nothing seemed off.
Hard to diagnose.
Yeah, super hard back then because it was even more unknown. They didn't even have pain treatment. You just lived your normal life without any medication to help the pain.
And you were 9 at the time.
I was.
So down at Children's Hospital, what did they tell you?
Children's Hospital wasn't a thing back then.
Oh.
So there was a clinic out near the mall. We went there. They diagnosed me. And the guy was rough. He just told me you have CRPS, left the room without touching anything, looking deeper into anything. Nothing. He just goes, you have CRPS, left the room. So we went to another clinic. He was a specialist for CRPS, very rare thing for him to go into. But he was honored, and he was like, you have CRPS, this is what it is. This is the only treatment we currently have. We're looking for more treatments, but we have none so far.
And the treatment was what, a cast?
The treatment is physical therapy.
Okay, so a way to manage the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Is CRPS curable?
No.
You'll have this forever.
Mm-hmm.
So a random soccer injury turned into a forever problem.
Yes.
Okay. And what are you doing to manage the pain currently? What do you do?
So I am on Lyrica. I am on antidepressants. I'm on medical marijuana. That was the last resort. We got to it very quickly.
So you're on various pain medications? Is that what these things
Mm-hmm.
are? as well as the antidepressant, which you mentioned that this is like a suicidal thing.
Yeah, people
Not
have,
you, but people
Yeah.
who experience this. The pain is so severe that people become suicidal. Is that correct?
yeah, they take their own lives because of the pain. They can't stand to be in their own bodies. And what makes me even sadder is that in the adult world, they don't have the special therapists who specialize in CRPS to help them. They just have regular therapists who are doing 8 things at once. And it's hard for us to be motivated and to touch our own skin because how bad it hurts. So we need extra hands, and I want to fix that.
How do you want to fix it?
I
As
want to
being a
start
s-
sharing the word.
Sharing your story.
Yeah.
And that starts here today with Bethel Park TV.
Mm-hmm.
So this will forever be an issue with you.
Yes.
Treatable, will it become better?
If it's treated, the pain is less noticeable. You can get out of bed easier, but you still feel it.
When do you feel your pain?
Sitting down right now, there's numbness in my legs.
Okay.
So it's like when your leg falls asleep and you stand up, it's like, ooh, that feels funky.
Would it be suffice to say that you feel uncomfortable or pain always, or just during certain situations?
During certain situations.
Okay. What makes it worse?
Stress.
Stress makes it worse.
Yeah.
Like school stress, social stress, world stress. Stress makes it worse.
Yeah. And sickness.
And I know very recently you've just gotten over COVID, and how was that for your illness?
Not good.
Not good. Not good.
Yeah. Because as you all know, COVID, one of the side effects is stomach pain, and it's brought on more severe pain for me.
What would be your pain level right now?
About an 8.
It's an 8 out of 10?
Yeah.
I would never guess that you were an 8 of pain.
Yeah, internally I'm crying, but you know, with chronic pain, you learn to be tough. Like, I've had doctors come up to me and say, my pain isn't real. They wouldn't treat me. They said that it was imaginary. And those were hard words to hear as a 12-year-old.
Well, Heather, let's fast forward to, I know I recently had a conversation with you just last week when you were in the hospital, and you said that you had words with a nurse in the hospital where she refused to believe that you were in as much pain as you were and basically called you a faker. And this is something that you experience regularly.
Yes.
How do you handle that?
It makes me angry. And I cry. I try to, see it from their side. But I just can't see anyone saying that to a 12-year-old.
Right. It makes you cry tears of anger or tears of sadness?
Sadness.
Sadness. Okay. So it makes you angry, it makes you sad.
And it puts up a wall between patient and provider.
Yeah. Does it fuel your fire to try to make you stronger, to stand up for yourself and to speak your word and to say, listen, nurse, I really am in this much pain and you need to believe me?
Yeah.
Like, does it give you the motivation to speak up for yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I think this whole situation has given you the strength that you're here today to speak about it.
Yeah.
You are a very strong young lady. I know you. You're very strong. You're very resilient. You're very cheerful. In a million years, I would not guess that you're in an 8 of pain right now.
Yeah.
I have with me the McGraw-Hill Pain Scale.
Yes.
And you said that that was a very important tool for you and for the viewers at home to look at, to understand what CRPS is like on the scale. I'm reading from it here. If a sprained ankle would be between, 10 to 15 in pain, childbirth being at about a 30 to 35, amputation of a toe or a finger is at 40, CRPS is at least a 42. So it's as though you're in childbirth, only worse all the time walking around.
Yes. And then when I'm sad, or in pain, people are like, why don't you smile? And I'm like, I physically can't.
How do you deal with the pain? Through breathing? I know you're on the medications and the marijuana, but do you do breathing exercises? Do you pray? What do you do?
So I go to physical therapy, and
How often?
I used to go 2 times a week, and now I see another physical therapist, as well as along with another. So I see 2 different.
What would you do in
PT.
physical therapy? What could possibly be a physical therapy remedy that they say, here, you need to do this to alleviate your pain?
So we work on core stabilization for my stoma because it protrudes, which means it goes out.
What is a stoma?
A stoma is an opening of your small intestine on the outside of your body, and it helps a lot of people go to the bathroom, just in a different way.
And yours protrudes.
Yes.
Okay.
And it hurts. That hurts.
So if the viewers at home could imagine if your insides were on the outside, if your intestine was protruding outside your body, that's what she's feeling, correct?
Yeah, I can hold my intestine in my hands whenever it happens.
And you say that you have a feeding tube, that's what that is.
Yep.
And you also have, is it called a colostomy bag? I don't
It's
want
an
to use
ileostomy.
ileostomy.
Yeah, colostomy is on the other side.
So what's an ileostomy?
An ileostomy just means it's at the end of your small intestine. A colostomy means it's at the end of your large intestine.
We are learning here, Bethel Park. We are learning. Interesting. Okay, so explain to us, starting with the feeding tube, what it does, how it works, and let's go down.
So the feeding tube is there to help provide nutrients. It goes all the way down past my stomach into my duodenum, which is where your stomach and your small intestine meet. So it would be like right in there, inside your body. So they push it past further for me because it coils a lot.
Inside.
Yeah, my anatomy coils it. So we know there's something wrong with my digestion tract. We just don't know what. So I feel hungry a lot, but food agitates my stomach.
Solid food irritates you.
Yes,
Can you eat?
I can if I want to.
Soft foods only?
Mainly, yeah.
And then going after the feeding tube?
Then we have my ileostomy.
Yes.
It is a bag that is filled with stool. Not to get too creepy here, but with this little, let me open it. You just open these flaps, it rolls down, you empty it, because it fills up with air, and once you can't see my stoma in here anymore.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once you can't see it inside anymore, then you take the bag off, which is why this sticky part is there.
Is that special tape?
Yes. You can't just use any regular tape, unfortunately. I order it off a medical company, and they're very nice.
Now I understand my daughter Aaliyah and you were away at a church retreat, and I know she helped you with your bag. What exactly did she do?
So she took it off.
Took the entire bag off.
Yes. Like the sticker here, everything. I walked her through the process. I had an abscess that was open, so she put powder on there. It's kind of like baby powder, just for the skin to help heal it.
Wow.
I was very impressed. I was like, I remember I came back to you and you were like, she
Yeah.
did that? And I was like,
Not that I didn't
couldn't
think she could do
believe-
it, but the fact that you allowed her to do it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe she was that good. That was her first time.
And the feeding tube, you say, goes down.
Yes.
Show us that.
So I connect it every day like this. I have to fill my little bag up with the food inside.
And is this like Is this like an Ensure or what's in there?
So it's Pedialyte,
Yeah.
and it has about 1,000 something calories.
Can I ask a stupid question? Can you taste that?
No.
No. Okay. So it's just going into your body, just giving you nutrition. Okay. No flavor. I didn't
mean-
know if as it dripped down the back of your throat if you could taste it. What do I know? I don't know.
No, that's a common question actually. And then people think that it just naturally can go through the tube and up, but it's a pump that a company gives me. I have to charge it, but it stays charged pretty well. And then I just adjust the feeds as I need to, as my doctor tells me.
What do you call this contraption? Your backpack, I know, but what do you call it?
My feeding tube bag?
Is that what you call it? Your feeding tube bag?
Yeah.
So you take your feeding tube bag with you everywhere,
Yeah.
like a little backpack.
Yeah, I'm
You
like
go.
Dora the Explorer.
Like the. Okay, yeah, sure. And do you work?
I do work.
Where do you work?
I work at Aerie.
And how has this whole situation been at work?
So I had a problem with a customer, more like she had a problem with me. Let me put it that way.
What was her problem with you?
So she needed a shirt, okay? I got her shirt, but my feeding tube bag spilt on the shirt.
Okay. So they probably just took the shirt and just put it out and said, we're just going to nix this out as damaged inventory, right?
Yes,
Is that what they did with it?
yes. I got her a new shirt. She was not very happy. She waited 30 minutes because I was embarrassed. I mean, you don't want to have to go to work and have feeds all over you and work with feeds all over you because it does have a scent. Not a very pleasant one. It smells like baby food. And she waited 30 minutes to tell me that I'm disgusting.
Customer told you that.
Yes, and that I shouldn't work for the company and that I was very unprofessional. And that hurt.
I couldn't imagine someone saying that. I know it's true because you're telling me, and I know you.
So I went into the back, and my manager, because I wouldn't let anyone hug me at that point, I told them I'm disgusting, like, please don't touch me. She took the feeds, put it on herself, and gave me a hug and said, we're both disgusting now, just to make me feel better. And then she, gave me some positive encouragement. And she's amazing.
How has the managers and the people that you work for been with your situation?
They've been good. They've been very inclusive. It's a small-knit group.
What about your friends at school?
We've gotten more distant now.
I know you mentioned that there are bullies at your school.
There's a sports team at my school who is not very kind to me about my situation, and this is a situation I can't control. They've tried pulling my feeding tube out.
On school property?
Yes, in front of preschoolers. So we're talking 5
And this is a
6-year-olds.
joke to them. They think
Yes.
it's funny. Does the administration or the teachers or the people in the school know that this is going on?
Yes.
And what has been done about this?
So at first they were given 1 day of suspension and a hockey game taken away. The next day they came in and they said, ew, it smells like in here. And so I look at my bag. So, just at least to see if it's me. Because when they say that, I'm like, is it really me? Like, because sometimes my bag leaks and I don't know.
Once again, people need to think before they speak. Go ahead.
They start laughing as I'm looking down. And I know, actually doesn't smell in here, it's just them. And that hurt.
Were there any repercussions made at that point?
So the next day, my principal called me down because I told my friend. And the principal, we now have a no contact order in place against them.
They have to stay away from you, or they're not allowed to speak to you?
We're not allowed to speak to each other unless it's for school reasons.
Have they been abiding by that?
For the most part,
Okay. Do you feel safe at school?
no.
Why don't you feel safe at school?
I don't know what they're going to do. I know what they're capable of, and I know what they've done in the past
To others or to you?
to others. And I don't want to be beat up in the school parking lot.
They beat up others in the school parking lot?
Not there, but in school. I know that they've gotten into fights. And during hockey games, it's allowed. They're allowed to fight, but then it's broken up. So I know that they have the abilities. I just don't want to be left in the school parking lot beaten.
I can't even believe we're having this conversation right now.
But that's what I fear of every day. And I fear that what if they pull my feeding tube out, because this is my last feeding tube.
And what happens if that feeding tube is pulled out?
If they pull it out, my throat could be injured because there's weight to this. And if you pull it too far, too fast, it's slow and steady movements. So something really bad could happen, leading to death.
This is really a lot right now.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So as far as you going out to eat with your friends, are you able to go out to eat with your friends?
I am. I just typically don't eat.
Why?
It's just food doesn't really appetize me. And they don't invite me out anyways because they don't want me to feel awkward and out of place.
So you don't get invited out to go eat. You, I'm guessing, don't get invited to go out to physical activities. You mentioned that Christmas they excluded you from a trampoline park.
Yes.
What do you do with your friends?
We go for drives. We talk. Everyone loves talking with me. I get told everything. But the thing about me is I know what it's like to have my information shared when it's not supposed to be shared. So I keep that in. Someone could tell me something really bad, and I'd keep it to myself.
You're a good secret keeper and a good friend.
Unless it's life-threatening and something bad could happen.
Right.
That's when we tell other people.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I know that you had some bruises on your abdomen or some marks. Can you go over the scars and the marks on your abdomen and explain to the viewers at home what they are?
So this one was from my second surgery. It was to get rid of what they hoped to believe was just if they scraped the infection out, because there was infection from my first surgery in my bloodstream. It's not contagious. It's not airborne. Nothing like that. You can't get it. It's only through like blood transfusions, things like that. But this was so that they could get my appendix out. They could obviously pull this scar is for the opening of my ending of my small intestine. These two were for the twisting that I had right here because my colon stretched so far that it twisted on itself. And then there was an ileus, which is a big pocket of air. Usually it's small and it passes, but since there was a loop and that ileus was there trying to get through, it made things a lot worse.
And I know you said that the suicide rate for people with your condition is high. Do you know what the rate is on that?
I used to.
Okay. And you want to be a spokesperson for people with your condition to help them.
Yeah.
If you had anything to say to the viewers at home who might know someone with this situation, who might be experiencing this, or who want to know more information about it, talk to the camera and tell them what you would like to say being the spokesperson right now.
If you know someone with this condition, talk to them. Even if they say I'm fine, more than likely not, they're not fine. They are struggling inside. They won't reach out. You're going to have to be the one that reaches out to them and goes, hey, what's going on? Like, tell me. Got to get right up in their face, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. It's okay to cry. I've cried in front of my doctor so many times. We cry together because we're trying to figure this out. And it's okay to feel discouraged. I've felt discouraged so many times. I told my sister yesterday, I feel like if another thing happens to me, I won't be able to make it. But you know, you have this whole team behind you. You just have to look. And please, please, there's so many people who love you. Don't take your life. If you need someone to fight for you, tell a nurse who cares, who you trust. The doctors will bring in that nurse. I promise you that.
Words well spoken, Heather. Words well spoken. I think you're going to be a tremendous spokesperson for people with CRPS. I think that you've given the viewers at home a lot of inspiration and a lot of things to think about here. Thinking before you speak, being kind, being compassionate. What if this was your daughter? What if this was you that was experiencing, these symptoms or this chronic pain? And I hope that the viewers at home maybe look up a little bit more information, and we're going to put an 800 number and information about suicide hotlines on the bottom of our screen right now for those people who do need help. And we're going to put the McGraw-Hill pain scale back up on the screen so that people can see exactly what you go through every minute of every day. Experiencing the 8 pain out of 10 that you're in today, holding yourself with class, dignity, and beauty. I applaud you for coming in to talk to us about everything that you're going through. And right now, you're my hero.
You're mine.
This has been a lot for me. I'm sure it's going to be a lot for the viewers at home. We learn. We learn through life, and this is just another thing that helps us grow as individuals and as human beings. Thank you so much, Heather, for coming and speaking to us today. You're amazing, you're strong, you're beautiful. You are everything. From Bethel Park TV, Healthy, Fit, and Strong, my name is Amy Taylor. We have Heather Wegley here today. Bravo.
Thank
Bravo.
you.